Hey YouTubers, check out my day. It's not 2 in the afternoon, it is 2 in the morning. Welcome to the life of a graveyard shift worker. Trying to swing my schedule around so I can enjoy at least one day of my weekend during the day. But I woke up a little while ago and now it's night. I don't mind working when it's dark and at night, but not much you can do on the weekend. So what am I going to do? I know, talk about post-economic collapse or well, let's just say anything that would cause a utility collapse or a breakdown in the municipal water system. I was just watching a video on dealing with human waste when the plumbing isn't working. and one guy, he was talking about using a luggable loo and with a little toilet seat on it and a 5-gallon bucket and this deodorant stuff, and basically you just fill it up with this horrendous, noxious witch's brew of urine and feces. And basically, I don't think that's really the way to go, because I mean, as soon as urine and feces are mixing together, the bacteria just go crazy, and then the smell is just indescribable. And then you try to overpower it with the chemical smell of that toxic, crazy stuff that they put in those porta johns or whatever, and man, that stuff smells almost as bad as what it's trying to cover. But that's not the way I do it, or will do it in that situation. Now first, let's think of what could trigger a situation where you'd need to deal with your own human waste, right? And that would be like, say you had a serious economic problem, personal economic problem, and somehow you didn't have money for water, and that's happening to some people in Detroit. And then the city or the utility comes around and shuts your water off. That would be a pain, but this method would come into play if I were in that situation. Now, it's something to plan for, although I don't think it's going to happen. A second thing that could cause it, I live in the Pacific Northwest, so a big earthquake could basically take out the plumbing infrastructure without destroying society. Basically, you'd have a lot of breaks in the water mains all over the city, and the utilities would be working to fix it, but meanwhile all the pressure would be gone, and at that time people would they wouldn't know what to do with their human waste. But at least I would. And in a situation like that, I probably wouldn't bug out, because the only thing that would have been destroyed is a lot of buildings and a lot of people would have been killed, but the basic civilization would keep going pretty much. I mean, a lot of roads would be destroyed. It'd be like in California when that big earthquake occurred a couple decades ago. But basically, I would stick around if that's the case. Then, of course, if you had the big, huge shit hit the fan and everybody's going nuts and massive lines at the grocery store, in that case, I probably wouldn't even be staying in this condo, because I have family way out in the sticks, and I have about 8 months' food for all of us, really boring beans and rice kind of food, stored, right? But I'll tell you one thing, beans and rice ain't all that bad. I'm having it as a regular thing. Let me see if I can dig it out for you. This is a really nice rice mix. It's got like wheat, and it's got wild rice and brown rice and everything in it. Man, it's very satisfying and awesome. But anyway, I'm getting off the track here. The point is, I mean, I have a lot of stuff like that stored over there, and probably for about 8 months. It would last us about that long. Okay, but back to human waste. If there was a situation that the municipal water system failed, or even my local water system failed due to some kind of problem with the condo complex's plumbing, anyway, if that occurred, I would handle human waste a lot differently than most people, right? What I would do is I have wood chips. Actually, it's more like, it's sawdust so fine that, but it has no dust, but it's made for pet litter, right? And what I would do is basically just use the regular old toilet. You know, you got the tank here, and then the rest of it down here. Well, here. And then you got the U-bend right here. So what I would do is, I mean, the water is usually here, but I would actually scoop it out until it was just barely covering the bottom of the bowl, right? So that no sewer gases would start coming up into the condo, right? Then I would just throw a plastic bag in there, and I've got a lot of plastic bags, and if you're a prepper, you have plastic bags too. That's one of the 100 things that immediately go into short supply in an emergency situation. I imagine everybody has read that list, but I think I'll probably put it on a link and see what I can do about that. Anyway, then I take a plastic bag and throw it in there. Throw a little bit of wood chips on the bottom, right? And that is for feces, right? Second thing I do is would take a, here's the lid right here. Anyway, I would take a bottle of some kind. I was just messing around with a 2-liter Coke bottle, and that might be a little bit too big. But basically, it would be something that you could just put in the front of the bowl, right? And then you would take a leak into that, right? And then everybody would, of course, male or female, have to sit down to do that. And that would make my toilet basically a urine diverting system. And they have those that are actually commercially available, urine diverting composting toilets. And you can take the urine and you can throw that right on your garden or on your roses or whatever, and within a day or so, the bacteria in the soil will turn the ammonia into a high nitrogen fertilizer, and your plants will take off. And if times are really desperate, and we have if we had a massive problem that basically stopped the plumbing from working, and it also interfered with the food system, what you could do then is you can go outside and you can dig down about a foot and dig these big rectangular 1 foot deep, 9 feet long, 4 feet wide ponds, I guess you could call them, like so. And if you have any dirt or soil around, you could throw some in the bottom as well, and that would bring that bacteria, that same ammonia breakdown bacteria. And then what you could do is you could take duckweed, which I purchased online last year, and I have it in a container out on my deck garden. And what that does is, if it's exposed to the sun and if it has enough nutrients, it will it will actually double in size and in volume over a period of about 24 hours, right? If it has good sun. And what happens, what you could do then is you could just take, I mean, when you're in a situation like this, sometimes it's not really really wise to be terribly squeamish. But anyway, you could take that urine from the urine diverting toilet and start putting it in these beds, and then throw some duckweed in there, and that stuff will grow really fast and cover the surface of the of these beds. And then you could scoop it out, throw it in a pot and boil it just like green beans, and you have got a high protein, very nutritious addition to your food, basically. I don't know if I would want to eat it raw, but I think you can. I think it's kind of dark out there, but I think I can show you some of the duckweed that I have. Okay, this is the stuff, and I kept it out there over the winter, and this is fairly substantial. I mean, I just got a little tiny bit, and this was just a little area, just maybe about a 3-inch by 3-inch space on the surface of that little container. And this is basically a plant, a very small aquatic plant, and it grows really fast, and it has super high protein, and you can feed it to chickens, or or if they're hungry enough, you can feed it to chicks. And ducks, of course, love it, and that's why they call it duckweed. High protein, highly nutritious. I don't know what its carbs are, but basically that is a possibility. And if you take a leak in there as well, as disgusting as that sounds, that will make it grow faster. And human urine, or even animal urine, is a totally sterile, high ammonia liquid, which is turned into a high nitrogen fertilizer within hours, and it's a resource that you can't really afford to ignore if things get seriously bad. But if things got this bad that I'd have to consider doing that, of course I would have already relocated to my bug out location. But as long as I'm still working and I still have a nice paid off condo here, if we just had a situation where we had an interruption in the local water system, I would use this method, right? And then basically take a dump in there, right? Take a leak in the little diverter, then cover it with the wood chips, and then when the bowl was like mostly full, then of course, and basically when you throw the wood chips over it, it would vastly decrease the smell because it basically dries it out, and then I might even consider getting a luggable loo and then set up a urine diversion thing in it as well, because then I could keep it out on the back porch and it wouldn't stink up my condo if that was the case. It would also be pretty darn good for camping as well. It would be perfect, more sanitary than just burying it out there. Okay, then the final piece of this puzzle, right? You can throw the urine anywhere. You can throw it in the grass. You can throw it around your fruit trees. Anything that is green. You could probably even throw it in your house plants, as long as you didn't throw too much in. And of course, when you do, you have to dilute the urine by about 20-1 if you put it on plants. Otherwise, you could burn the plants. That way, that's why dog kennels and such, if you, dog pens or whatever, if they take a leak in a certain area all the time, it'll kill the grass there. And that's because it's not diluted 20 to 1. It'll burn. Just like if straight Miracle-Gro with no water, that'll kill a plant pretty fast too. Okay, the final piece of the puzzle is, what do you do with the plastic bag full of feces and sawdust? Well, if we had a serious problem, I would take this little decorative fireplace that I got back there, and I would take a little device that I purchased about a year ago. This is an old military stove. I got this idea from Yankee Prepper, and I can set this thing up in that fireplace in about 10 minutes. So then I would make a decent little fire in the fireplace, in the wood stove, throw the plastic bag full of wood chips and feces in there, and it would burn cheerily, and it would help heat my condo. If it happened in the wintertime, I'd be happy for the heat. If it happened in the summer, I'd probably burn it outside. Set the stove up out there, and I would probably also offer to burn the waste, or allow the neighbors to utilize it as well. I would have to fix up some kind of wider scale system to handle the waste of my neighbors. Otherwise it could be a threat to my own health and safety. So that, off the top of my head, since I don't have anything else to do this evening, this morning, is what I would do with human waste if the plumbing failed. Later.